Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, thank you for joining us. So as you know, starting Monday, there will be 4 new council members around the Horseshoe. And I'm wondering what your thought is on that and if you've had a chance to speak with them just yet.
I've had a chance to interact with them a little bit via text messaging. We've gone back and forth. Most of the incoming council members and I have had a chance to exchange some text. We're going to get together in person here soon to talk about priorities, and I'm pretty excited about that. I want to wish them congratulations, and I can remember when I was in their shoes about 2 years ago myself, and I know it's a busy time. You got a lot of people pulling on you. So I wanted to give them a little time to sort of soak it all in and spend time with their family and their supporters, because we're about to get to work and we're going to be really busy here soon. So we'll be getting together very soon to talk about what they want to accomplish for the next 2 years. And hopefully there's a lot of overlap with what we want to accomplish here at City Hall.
I was going to ask you, this is now going to be the second half of your first term, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, I want to get back to basics, Jack, and I want to make sure that we're positioning our city well for the future. So I've been calling that, getting back to basics and building for the future, because I do believe that we've got some things that we're not doing as well as we should as a city. It's not the most exciting stuff to some folks to talk about, but the reality is, if a city can't provide for the safety of its residents, if it can't issue building permits in a timely fashion, if it can't pick up your trash on time, if it's not doing those things well, it's hard to convince people that Dallas is a place where they need to invest, either moving here and moving their families here and living here, or moving a business here. So we need to get those things right, and we're going to. And I'm hoping this new council agrees with me that that should be our top priority, is getting back to those basics. But then we also need to prepare for the future, and that means focusing on workforce, which is something I've been talking about for the past 2 years quite a bit as well.
So let's break it down a little bit. Obviously, as far as the crime situation, Chief Eddie Garcia has his plan. You've endorsed it, from what I understand. And so, what's your thought on how that's going?
It's very early. We're talking about a month into it, but so far, so good. I mean, we'll take any progress we can get, but I want to make sure people understand that I'm taking it very personally what's happening in this city with respect to violent crime. And I'm not ready to do any touchdown dances at this point. We need to stay very focused on this. We need to hold everyone accountable. So we are going to continue to support the new chief. I'm glad he came in and hit the ground running and saw the importance of having a plan, which is something that was very important to me. And we're going to give him the resources we need. I hope in this upcoming budget, I hope this new council understands why it's so important to prioritize public safety and give him the resources that he needs to make sure the department can deliver on that public safety promise that all our residents want.
You mentioned the permitting process, and I know this has been an ongoing issue. I believe I read that there was a new report or guidance that the city is now released as far as making improvements there. Have you had a chance to read that, and what's your thought?
I've not had a chance to read the report, but I can tell you this: we've had more conversations about that than just about anything else around City Hall. And the city manager has heard from me, and he's heard from numerous council members that this is not something that we have any more patience for in terms of getting turned around. The city manager's job is to make sure that the trains run on time in the city. He's responsible for the operations of the city, and this is a big deal. Making sure that we can actually permit new development and the types of things that grow our tax base, which will help us relieve the tax burden on our residents, is of critical importance. We have to be competitive with our surrounding communities, our suburbs, and with the rest of the big cities in the state of Texas. And so we're going to stay on top of that issue, and we're going to hold everyone accountable for that as well. And I hope the incoming council agrees that that's also a critical part of getting back to basics.
And when you mention back to basics, one thing that I've seen come up is trash collection. What concerns do you have about that? I've read that there are some people not happy with how that's been progressing.
Well, people's trash have been, their bulky trash has been sitting out on their curbs in some neighborhoods for weeks. It's not working the way it's supposed to. Our residents and taxpayers taxpayers expect access to have this service provided, and it's not being provided at the standard that Dallas should hold. So what that means is we're going to have to, as a council, evaluate the options that were laid out to us in that briefing and make some decisions about what we want to have the city leadership, the sanitation department, pursue. And then we're going to have that conversation with our residents and get their feedback, or there's going to be public input into this, but we have to make changes there. That's a quality of life issue. And again, it goes to the competitiveness of the city.
How important is building coalitions on the city council? They often say around the horseshoe, 8 is the magic number because that's really what gets the majority out of the 14 council members and you as the mayor. So how important is that?
It's important. I mean, let's be clear about it. I mean, 8 is the minimum. You'd like to have as many people as possible agreeing with a vision. I'd like to see 15 members agree with the vision that I just laid out and that I'm going to be talking about for the next 2 years. These are things that I truly believe the residents of Dallas want us working on. People have their own individual district-specific interests, and we need to try to be very, very responsive and sensitive to what the needs of individual neighborhoods are. But there are some big picture items, some big issues that are not being addressed in the city, and we need to get something like unanimous buy-in for those things. And I'm hopeful that we can get there, Jack. I mean, that to me, again, yes, in the pure politics of it, 8 votes is the minimum that you need to do anything that requires formal action. But we're not looking for a bunch of 8-7 votes on these issues that I just laid out. We need 15-0 votes if we can on the priorities I just laid out. Public safety's got to be important to everyone on this council. We've got to make that our top priority, and we also need to do the same thing with permitting. And 911 call center operators need to be hired, and we need to be able to answer the phone when people call 911. Those are basic things that we've got to get right, Jack, and I hope we have something like unanimous support for those things.
And my last question to you, Mayor, and I appreciate your time, and that is, how are you going to measure success?
Well, I think the proof has got to be in the pudding. And I think I'm a big results person. I'm a little bit tired of the rhetoric around City Hall and discussions about how, feelings and opinions and we're not focusing enough, in my opinion, on delivering for our residents. And so to me, success looks like the trash being picked up on time. That's something that's measurable. Is the trash being picked up or not? Success looks like the 911 calls in the city being answered almost immediately, and people not being put on hold or having their calls drop. The violent crime rate dropping, the murders dropping, the aggravated assaults dropping. Those are all measurable things. Permits being issued in hours or days, not months and years. So those are the types of things that we need to be focused on. And those are the things that can be very easily measured. And that's how I define success, when those things turn around.
Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.